Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff Mom Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio. And today, I'm just going to talk about what's been going on that has delayed my schedule so much for this Monday mini. But it actually was an idea I've had for a while. And it does involve some generalizations and stereotypes around gender. I'll just say that. A lot of this is my anecdotal experience. So I will put that at the front. Because I've had this idea, we've talked about it before, of like when dudes just don't get it. They just don't get it. And we've talked about it before of like, you know, I've had moments with dudes where they're like, I tell them I'm going to cross the street. I'd rather cross this side of the street because I know I'll get catcalled on this side of the street. And they're shocked. Like, we've talked about that. We've talked about how a lot of my guy friends, your guy friends, have had the moment of, you know, no, when we go to a club and we reject a guy, it becomes this. Like, we've talked about sort of those things. Right. But today I wanted to talk about something else.
Okay.
But that is related to that. Because listeners, I'm in the midst of like refrigerator drama to the likes you would not believe. I mean, this has been a 6-month ordeal.
It surely has.
It has. It's the reason our episodes have been so haphazard this week because of this fridge.
Part of the reason. Not completely, but.
Part of the reason, but a big part of the reason. And during my very special Star Wars week on top of that. But I have been without a working fridge for about 5 months. It was working okay, but it was like not working. And I hesitated to contact my landlord for a lot of reasons. And what is happening now is one of the big ones, is that it becomes a whole thing. And it just impacts my schedule so much. But another reason is something where I've talked about before, like, I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to bother you. I'm making do. It's fine.
Right.
You know, that kind of mentality that I think that a lot of women do experience. But it's also, I feel like I've had several experiences in my life where I've had a moment where you don't want to say something aloud to somebody and you're hoping they'll pick up on your cues, right? Like, please. And it's become this thing where I'm like, oh, he doesn't get it. And one of the first times that happened was I was traveling with a group of people. I was a freshman in college, and it was kind of evenly split between men and women. And we had like a host who was guiding us through these things. And I really liked him, but half of the group didn't. Kind of the nature of when somebody's telling you what to do in some way. But I needed to do laundry and he knew it. And he needed to do laundry. And I was like, okay, we'll just do laundry together. And then all the like other women in the group were like, you're going to do laundry with him? He's going to see all your underwear and all this stuff. And I was like, oh no, I didn't think about this. And so then I had to backtrack and I was like, oh, I don't really need to do laundry. I'll do it later. Because I was kind of embarrassed by some of my underwear, whether I should have been or not. But I was. And then I had to backtrack and he was like, you're being weird. Like, what are you doing? You need to do laundry. We'll just do laundry. And I was like, it's fine. Because I didn't want to like vocalize to this guy I didn't know very well. Like, I'm kind of embarrassed by some of my underwear. And now people have made me self-conscious about it. And it was just a moment where he clearly like did not get it. And it was very awkward. It was awkward. And I'm not saying that's all on him at all because I didn't tell him. I felt like I couldn't tell him. It was just it was one of those things where I was mortified over this quite small thing that didn't even happen. But then it became a thing where it was like every time I did laundry, it was kind of like, what? What happened there? What was going on? And then like another example is, so I'm having trouble. My drains aren't draining very well. And you're not supposed to use like products, chemical products in a building like this because it'll eat the pipes. So I'm going to have to, use the old snake and do it. And someone was like, you should get your landlord to do that. And I was like, well, when I was a kid, I remember very clearly my dad did it. And he pulled out like this, lump of hair, slimy lump. And I wasn't even in the room. He came and found me and showed me and was like, look at this. This is your hair. And I was so embarrassed.
Really?
Yes. Because it was gross. And like the fact that he was like kind of annoyed by it, it really, it stuck with me. And it just became this thing that I was so anxious about and like trying to always make sure I didn't get any hair in the drain and going all these lengths.
It's not possible.
I know it's not possible.
That's not possible. That's so silly.
I know.
Not for you, but that he would try to shame you. Because mine's the same way. Like I've been losing a lot of hair, and I will do my best to try to not let it go down. But it does because we have tons of hair, and unless you're gonna plug up the sink or whatever forever, and then slowly like fish out all the hair every day, which would take hours of your life. No.
Right. Exactly.
And we're not the only ones. Men shed too. It's just shorter sometimes.
Yes. But it did feel very like, this is your fault. Whether I don't think he intended that. I think he was just annoyed and it's not fun. But I took it to heart. And so like the idea of having to deal with my landlord,
I would not call my landlord for that. I never have. That's not but you and I are in that same place of like, I don't want to bother them. Mm-hmm. And so like for me, if I'm calling you as a landlord, it's something important. Like, oh, the roof might cave in. Oh, this might get set on fire. Like, I don't know. But like outside of that, drain, I don't necessarily think that would be a thing. Although I think that's where we have gone wrong is that we are self-sufficient. And so it's easier to tell us no. Because we're more or less likely to push back. And so we would probably back down and they know that. So they're more likely to pay attention to those who complain the loudest. I think we made a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if this was a different episode and I really wanted to just go into what was happening in my refrigerator situation, then yes, I agree. It's not like
I'm very upset for you. I'm very upset for you.
Oh my gosh. So, like, that's another aspect of this, though, is the apartment stuff around. Because I think what I'm talking about more, what we've talked about before when dudes don't get it is more of kind of like a romantic situation or just dating or existing. But this is more sort of logistical stuff. And one of the things that's annoyed me a lot lately is with my landlord, but other people as well. Like he kind of was frustrated with me because he's like, I have a chain lock and I just keep it on all the time because and he was like, why do you have this lock on? I'm like, why do you think? But also I bet if I didn't have it on, then it would be my fault that if something happens.
Right.
And it just was frustrating because I was like, well, it's kind of a safety thing. It makes me feel better that the chain lock is on.
He has it on his building, so why do you have it if you don't want people to use it?
I know. That
makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. But it's also, it reminds me of so many times when I have to kind of explain, like, I don't feel safe for whatever reason.
Right. I mean, this dude has no idea because he just walks in anyway at any given time, which is against the law, by the way.
Yes.
If you're a renter.
Yeah. But that's what I tried to talk about one time. Is like, he doesn't get it. He doesn't. Like, why would you think that's a good idea to just walk in?
But that's the thing is, like, we are even more, like, aware and very suspicious. Because I think you had told me he came through and you didn't know he came through. And I was like, well, check your apartment for cameras because that's where I am in life. Like, this is bad. This is a dude who just walked in without talking to you. That's very, very concerning. But also, any person, no matter gender, if you just walked in, they're going to fight you or at least be on the defensive, you know? Like, they're like, what are you doing? Why did you just walk into my house?
Yeah. And I feel like I've had this play out before because I was thinking about this. This is the first time I've been in a renting situation, a living situation, where I'm kind of responsible for all the stuff.
Right.
Like for a while, I was mostly dorms in college. And then I lived with a dude who I was sort of subletting his apartment in his place. So he was taking care of all that. This is kind of a new. So I'm not really sure in a lot of ways, like what do I ask for? What do I not ask for? What is the expectation? And I have been living here for a long time, but that's interesting. But also I feel like I have been in a situation before with a repair guy who came in, and I was clearly kind of like on edge about it. And he was like, "Oh, I get it. I have a daughter, and I don't feel comfortable when dudes come into her place either." And I was like, "I'm not sure this is. You're not making me feel better. I get what you're trying to do."
I have a daughter. I understand.
But I know it's
sorry, I'm here.
We've heard that so many times of like, "Oh, I have a mom," and I'm like, "Okay,
congratulations."
I know, but it's just like I feel like I've been getting that a lot too from some people of, you know, "Oh, I get it. You don't feel safe. I've got a daughter and she's the same." And I'm like, I don't know. Okay.
That's not tokenizing. I mean, it's not the extreme of it's like I have other Asian friends, but it's sort of. I know women. Okay, great.
But it's also sort of implying like, "Oh, I get that there's a power imbalance here and you don't feel safe. Let me comment on it." I don't know.
Hi, I'm Bob. Let me come
in. It's like I said, I get what they're trying to do, but it's also like
not as comforting as you think.
No, it's not. It's not. And then they'll ask for your number sometimes, which has happened to me too. And then you're like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, anybody in access like that. When I lived in an apartment, the dude hitting on me was a maintenance dude. And I was like, "Oh, I do not feel safe." Because you have keys to my place.
Exactly. I don't know. I just had a lot on my mind about this.
Yes. It's been a 6-month thing.
It has. And I've been
Perhaps
it'll
be over soon.
I hope so. Today, fingers crossed. Who knows? 6 months from now, I might be back with another update about this.
You get a house.
Your message is heard loud and clear. Well, thank you for letting me rant a little bit and share my sort of messy thoughts about this. And as always, if you have any messy thoughts about this, you can email us at stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Mom Never Told You. You can also find us on YouTube. And we have a book at stuffyoushouldreadbooks.com. You can pre-order it there. Thanks as always to our super producer, Christina, our executive producer, Maya, and our contributor, Joey.
Thank you very much.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production by iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.